Oh man. The whole point is to share it on here.
Oh yeah, that's right. Embarrass the shit out of yourself.
Keep the conversation, as random as possible.
And you're doing a fine job on your end.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to JG's Lounge. I'm your host, Jukebox. We're back with another episode of Stardom, and I want to introduce our guest today. We got Ryan Mcdonald. Man, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Yeah, appreciate you having me.
Yeah, of course. I actually met you through Jesse, aka Brofiki, as some people online might know him. You live in Utah, correct?
Yeah, I live in Ogden, Utah, which is just north of Salt Lake City by about 30 minutes or so. Yeah.
All right. And why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do, man?
Yeah. So kind of how I got involved with meeting Jesse and then kind of meeting you as well is I'm an independent filmmaker. So, I mean, really independent, like low budget, micro budget kind of stuff. I attended the University of Central Florida out in Orlando for some time. Got my film degree there and then came back to Utah, started up a production group called New Ogden Cinema with my friend Jason White. And we started developing kind of like a film community inside the Ogden area where we can each collaborate with each other. Because, unfortunately, like with writing's kind of like a singular process. But when you go to make a movie, there's a lot of hands that are involved in it. And over the course of the last 10 to 12 years, we've been putting together short films and then also feature films as well. So I have a feature film called Married and Loving It, which is available on Amazon that we shot with an iPhone. And in 2020, we was set to be in all these different festivals. My whole plan was I was going to travel the world and meet a bunch of filmmakers and kind of work with that. But then that was all the beginning of 2020. And then by 3 months into 2020, everything shut down. So ended up kind of watching from the sidelines as it traveled through the film festival circuit. But eventually it is on Amazon. And then most recently, the last two short film projects I've been working on have been horror films, but not horror in the sense of it's funny because then I'll show the movies to my wife and she'll be laughing the entire time. And then she's like, I'm sorry, I'm laughing. And I'm like, no, it's actually a comedy for me. Even though they're kind of horror genre. So it's like horror comedy. So the last one that we did is a film called Ancient Evil Frankencock. And that was the one I worked with Jesse on. So kind of like as the title provides, it's a short film that's around a guy named Dr. Stein. And he gets dismembered and then he ends up sewing it all back together, creating then like a monster out of his wiener, and then it comes out and he has to box it. And it's a short film because I was working on a larger idea of it. But then there's a short film competition in Salt Lake called the Demon Chaser, ran by the Filmulate Film Festival. And it's a competition that comes up almost every year. And at the last minute, I decided to jump in and I was like, we could maybe do this Frankencock idea I've been sitting on for a minute. So turned it into a quick short, and there's a time constraint, so it had to be within 7 minutes. So that's kind of some of the variables of why it is only 7 minutes long. But
I ended up actually watching the full thing last night.
I
was laughing, man. It's like I wouldn't say it's cheesy horror, but it's not like it's comical, but it's like the concept itself is creepy as hell. Like if that was to actually happen to me, I'd be terrified.
Yeah.
So I noticed that on your IMDb, there's a lot of different Ancient Evils, and some of them actually are different producers and directors as well. Is that like what's the thing about that?
So that was again years ago. So this Demon Chaser festival that I was talking about in Salt Lake, I mean, it's been going on for 8 to 10 years. And so the very first time that the group of my film family that we decided to jump in, we were going to make the horror film, but we just randomly called it Ancient Evil. And then purposely, I think we said it was like Ancient Evil 12 or something, or Ancient Evil 7. Like we kind of like skipped ahead into that title frame. And the idea was, at some point, the idea was to continue to do things where it would be like The Return or other things, the final evil or something like that. The things that you typically see at like when a series is like 10 or 12 movies in and whatnot. So everything's kind of been Ancient Evil from there as like a is like a short series that we do. I take it a little bit different because I did Ancient Evil. I call it Moon's Blood. It was a werewolf film where the werewolf, he pops out when he's around a woman who's menstruating. So and then my follow-up to it was Frankencock. So but that's why they're called Ancient Evil. Yeah.
I am curious. So, I mean, are these ideas that you came up with, or are they something that you stumbled upon or somebody mentioned and you're like, yeah, I can make it happen?
It's a various thing. So Moon's Blood was something my friend Jason White, who's also a producer and director and writer, I think he often references women when they're on their periods, kind of like he's like you can smell the moon's blood or something like that. So from there I was like, what if there was a werewolf that came out only at that moment, because he can smell the women. With Frankencock, there was actually, I came with the idea a long time ago. It was back when Tim Burton had his film Frankenweenie. He made the feature film version of his short, and I think I was having an argument with somebody about Tim Burton, about whether or not he's as original as we want to say that he is, or being that most of the things are kind of remakes, and or I was probably just frustrated because he's gone through this long Disney period of stuff that I just have not been watching. And I was like, well, like this Frankencock thingy over here. And I just said it like that instead of saying Frankenweenie. And it was kind of, once I said that, I was like, Frankencock. I was like a Frankenstein version of your dick. And and I just sat on that for a long time. So I just was like, wouldn't it be cool? And I thought maybe we'd make like a fake trailer for a feature film or something. But then eventually we made what we made. So yeah.
So we have like 16 podcasts on this network now, and a lot of them are like comedians and stuff that I've met growing on this channel. And I wanted to do more than just podcasts, so I came up with Burn After Playing, which is also like, it's basically short films. I think I've sent you a couple of them. Yeah, and I basically get 4 or 5 people together. I'm like, dude, you gotta use your phone, but here's the premise: send me 3 to 4 1-minute clips, and I'm gonna make a short film out of it. And it's actually really been challenging me. But I love it. I mean, we did something called Unnormal, and like we went and investigated a house where there was an orgy that went bad and everybody died. It was pretty fun. But it's just stupid stuff like that. But I love it, man. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
That one that you shot with just the iPhone, man, that's impressive.
Yeah. It was, so let's see, we shot it in 2018. So if you can, so that's why it's kind of like on the iPhone 6. So if you can kind of rewind ourselves back before there was, what are we on now? iPhone, we're on the 15 or something like that. I have an 11 that I got like in 2020, but like, so there was a time where I was considering, I was like, well, what if, the cameras in the phones are getting pretty good. What if we, for the challenge, I guess, made a movie with a phone? And so we did a short film years ago that we shot on an Android, like a Samsung, like one of the early generation Samsung phones. And it went okay. And then we made a series. I wasn't the director, but I was starred in them, and also a producer. We made a series of short films that we shot with an iPhone. And in my mind, I was kind of like, there's a possibility that you could make a movie, like a feature film with an iPhone. And I wasn't the first person to come up with that idea. There's a movie famously called Tangerine that was in Sundance that was shot with the iPhone. Since we shot our movie, though, like Steven Soderbergh has made an iPhone movie, Robert Rodriguez has made an iPhone movie. But at the time, it was still kind of like, especially when I'm gathering the actors around, and you're kind of like, hey, just heads up, like when you see us pull out this phone, like we're still making a movie, like we're still going to make it look, we're going to try to make it look steady and good. But no, we don't have we're not using a Canon something or a Red RE blah 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 blah. Like we're going to use an iPhone now. So and so it's just a challenge of making a movie with the phone. And then that kind of opens up. The idea was also kind of make it there might be a niche market for it in the festivals. So there are festivals that are geared solely around just iPhone produced films. Not iPhone, sorry. I always say iPhone, but I mean interchangeably, like mobile films.
So when you submit to festivals and stuff, is that a grueling process, or is it pretty easy?
It goes in waves. Like you kind of have to. It's actually pretty easy in my opinion. But if you really want to be more focused. You should read through all the rules, make sure that like the film, whatever film you have, is going to get accepted for the right reasons in a sense. So like with Frankencock, I'm kind of on the fence. There's a lot of them say, hey, no porn, no anything. And it's like, well, it's not porn, but it is, this guy's got a big rubber wiener that he's fighting. So, but there's also, it's a cost thing as well. Some festivals are $10 to submit to. Some of them can be 35, 45, 50 bucks or so to submit. So that's also problematic as well. So it kind of depends on where you want to go with your movie. And there are a lot of festivals that are online that are based overseas, and it seems as though they basically just collect money when you submit to them, and you'll get like a certificate, but it kind of feels as though there wasn't really much of a festival going on. And that's something to kind of watch out for. Is you want to look at festivals where they have track records, they have pictures of like the festival as it played from years past, things like that. So is it a real festival, or is it just here to kind of like
a scam almost?
Yeah. And you can kind of tell too, because they'll have like 85 different submission categories for like best actor in a horror, best actress in a horror, best actor in a drama, and so it's like there's so many different spots where you could add $2 or $3 more into the submission.
Right.
Whereas there's some that just have short film, feature film, that's it.
I kind of stumbled upon that. Actually, I was talking to Jesse. I was like, and he told me to reach out to you because I was like, man, I kind of want to submit some of these shorts that we've done, but I don't even know how to do it.
Yeah. Luckily there's a website for it. It's filmfreeway.com. And go on the Film Freeway and you can upload your film. You basically create like a profile page for your film. So that way you also have to detail in there what you shot it on and what the format's going to be, things like that. So that when you go to submit to a festival, the festival is actually already input their requirements as well. And so if you go to submit for something and let's say for whatever reason doesn't fit, it will kick back and say, hey, you need to fulfill these pieces before you can submit to this festival. So because some of them it had to have been shot on 35 millimeter, and if we shot it digitally, well then it'll kick back and say this is your film doesn't qualify or whatever, right?
So, oh man, I didn't even think about that. I've been talking to some of the comedians about doing like a drama soap opera like spoof called Quarantined, and it just be like Zoom called drama. So I don't know. We would kind of discuss and do like an 8-part like little mini soap opera series. I thought that'd be pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the comedy that is Stardom. How good are you at coming up with ideas on a whim?
I'm okay. Like improv comedy is probably not my strong suit. So anytime we're doing, let's say we're shooting a film and I'm one of the actors in it, and they might just go like, oh, just riff off of each other. I'm not the best at that. And more, but maybe because it's like the camera's on and we're on the spot. But when we're kind of just like fucking around and scribbling ideas out or whatever, then then it flows a little bit better. But so I can do my best here.
Well, I found photos that are kind of what the hell's going on here, and we're gonna look at them and come up with an idea of what could be happening.
Okay.
All right. First up.
Oh, there's a woman underneath the other woman.
Yes, she's sitting on a woman. Yes.
Makes you wonder what's the joining. What's the piece that's joining the two together?
Right. What's the
that we can't see? Like some kind of still phallic shaped item that's joining them together.
I'm thinking of some post-apocalyptic. You're my slave and I own you, and you're gonna be my seat when I ride around.
Reminds me of the Channing Tate-Yum kind of joke.
I don't know.
Oh, it's in the Apocalypse movie with Seth Rogen. This is the end, something like that. At the end of it, Danny McBride has Channing Tatum, like on a dog leash, and he's like, yeah, this is Channing Tatum, or like I say, Channing Tate-Yum. So
You know what? It's been a long time since I watched that one, but I mean, I know it's not that old, but don't they all use their actual names?
yeah, they're all playing versions of themselves in the movie.
Do you think you could make a movie based off of something like this?
Off of what were the picture we're looking at?
Yeah.
Let's see, what are some creatures here we could do? Like, is it some kind of like a spider-legged woman or something like that? Like, I'm still kind of thinking that there's a dildo that's holding the two of them together,
like a
in some
double-sided
kind of
dildo
fashion.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Or
definitely a kink, I'm sure.
or is that bent ass? Like, is it going to be a flamethrower? Like like the purple one, like spreads her legs, and then just there's like a gaslight pilot light right there. This and then the one below farts and it goes across.
More like 50 Shades of. I can't think of anything
like
clever. But
it's like a penguin type villain. This is what it looks like.
A Batman,
in some kind of obscure Batman universe. Yeah,
I like it. That's good. Let's get to the next one here. These guys are having a wedding reception at a Shell's gas station.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'm thinking they might have some funding issues, so that they had to go cheap.
Yeah, and it's like, what are you, the CEO of Shell gas station, perhaps?
Yeah, possibly.
Like,
the owner's right there with the daughter. Yeah,
it's taking like being a redneck to like a whole new level.
Oh yeah. Is it the Middle Eastern rednecks?
Yeah. Yeah. What's the bathroom look like at this wedding?
Oh, man.
Do you have to go get the key from the counter? Why not buy a pack of gum every time you go to do it? Why not? Like,
there's a line of people going to the bathroom right now, and they're waiting to get in.
Yeah, and what kind of dungeon of a bathroom is this? Like, is it open to every homeless person and the public at the same time?
Yeah, it's probably got some tiles missing, and the sink's kind of halfway dangling down.
Just aromatically always smells like shit for no reason. Like, it's just the piping has just been laid with so much of it that it's always in there, kind of thing. And that's your beautiful wedding day. That's your princess moment.
And those wine glasses are actually filled with Sprite from the soft serve.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And they had to pay for each glass too.
Yeah, it's by the glass. Yeah. What kind of catering do we have at this? Hot dogs and potato logs.
Yeah, but the nacho cheese is down for the day, guys.
Yeah, nacho cheese is down. Yeah. So your dream wedding can't come true. No nacho cheese.
When I saw this, it actually kind of in my head reminded me of like I've driven by like some redneck homes where they have like sofas and stuff in like their front yard and shit, and they're like grilling, and the kids are in the little pool, but they got like the whole living room set out in the front yard.
Oh yeah, I used to live in Jacksonville. There's some. So from where I'm at in Utah, like I thought I knew what redneck was, and then when I got to Jacksonville, I was like, wow. I was like, it goes, stuff like what you just described. Couches like sitting in the front yard. A lot of bush light cases laying around.
Yeah, it's funny because you see a lot of like Florida news articles, and it's all like just the most redneck absurd stuff. And then when people like, I've done little clips and stuff off of them, and people get pissed off. Like, not everybody in Florida is that way. I'm not saying everybody is, but that's where most of these articles are coming from. So
yeah.
Don't know what to tell you there, man. Florida's nice though. I mean, we went to Pensacola a couple years back, and we had a blast.
No, yeah, I like Florida. Not necessarily trying to shit on everybody in Florida, but
yeah.
Good God. This is like the beginning of a horror film.
Yes.
This kind of was like, if you found yourself in a dream and came around the corner with this shit going on,
that would be terrifying. I think I would rather see a horde of zombies than this. At least I could predict the zombies and what they're here for.
Yeah, you just like there's a movie called Salo, which is famous for being If you haven't seen it, it's morbidly fucked up. It's on Criterion released a Blu-ray copy of it. And there's a few pictures. There's a picture of the director where he's wearing a pig's head in kind of like what you're looking at right here. And if you see the movie Sailor's about these like Nazi aristocrats gather up all these teenagers and take them to this castle, and then for the rest of the film proceed to kind of like rape them throughout the rest of the movie and whatnot. It's like I said, it's kind of brutally fucked up. And then interestingly enough, the director was killed like a week after the movie premiered, or like a week before, or something like that. Yeah. So that's what this kind of looks like to me, but almost like if you had like a Being John Malkovich moment, where he's like, where it's like Malkovich went inside Malkovich, so everybody's a Malkovich kind of thing. So you're sitting in a cafe and you just like look over, and there's one person wearing this kind of like sheep looking thing. And then you like look back at the person you were talking to, and they got a fucking sheep head on. And then the waiter comes up to you and is like, whatnot. And everybody's just all around you. Whatnot. Yeah, that'd be fucking terrifying.
Yes, it would, man. And what's that? There's a movie that recently came out, and it's like literally all in an office building, and everybody's just slaughtering each other. It's more like a mainstream film that came out. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. I don't think I saw it though, but
I
can't remember the title either.
That's what I thought of when I saw someone. Just like everybody's just like prepping for work. They're like lining up to go in. They know what's about to go down.
Is that what they're doing? Is this a commentary? Like sheep's not lambs?
There's no commentary. I literally was just looking up for. I was looking for just weird images that you and I could spin off of. But yeah, that's creepy as hell. I would rather walk into a horde of zombies than that.
Yeah. Or it's like they're going to an Eyes Wide Shut party. Jesus. Talking about a snapper on that one.
You ever seen the movie Teeth or whatever?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's creepy, but I get the concept. What do you got?
I don't know. I'm trying to digest what I'm seeing here.
Yeah, you got alligator head for the bottom half. Yeah. I was like some weird mermigator.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. It's trying to think of some kind of like "Love Me Long Time" kind of thing. Or like some kind of joke that's just about the top. Like,
some super possessive like girlfriend that just goes crazy and turns into this and eats all of her exes.
She's like a cockhound, like a there could be a play of words here because it's crocodile, so it's like a crocodile or something.
There you go, a crocodile.
Yeah.
Anybody that's just listening to this or is gonna listen to this later, it's you basically got this alligator head and then like this torso of like an Asian chick. And they're attached. It's just opening and shutting its mouth. It's very creepy.
Yeah.
And just the fact that it's an Asian. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of Asian horror films out there that are pretty fucked up. So I imagine this could be a pretty good film, actually.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of based upon her. It reminds me of like a prostitute. And I'm thinking like, you're in some Asian country and whatnot. You're sitting out there with like, some kind of work party or whatever, and there's always that one timid guy who doesn't want to go do all the drinking and all the other stuff, and there's always that Vince Fonts guy that's like, no, come on. So then you finally get down to where it's like, okay, and then the guy goes to go into the other room with the prostitute, and then all of a sudden just this crocodile legs just pop out and snatches him.
That's good. When you were explaining that, it was reminding me of Very Bad Things, which is totally off. But have you seen Very Bad Things?
We're talking like the one from like 20 years ago.
Yes, the one
where they like accidentally killed the girl.
Cameron Diaz, yeah.
Okay.
Just because like the whole step up of let's go, let's do it, and then the guy like all coked out just hooks her on the wall. Then this happens, and she turns into this crazy ass guy. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It's funny. A lot of people have not seen Very Bad Things, or have never even heard of it.
Well, I haven't heard somebody reference it in a long time, so.
Well, I do like some older films. Yeah. But like when people talk about Hangover, usually I'll reference that because it's like the more, I don't know, it's a little bit more morbid version of The Hangover.
Hmm.
And by the end of it, everybody's like dead or like fucked up.
Yeah.
All right, next up.
Fucking people, man.
I'm telling
Like-
you, man. I had to find some creepy ones.
It's like-
And at first, I thought the one on the right was holding a baby, but it's actually a
oh,
pretty grown child, like probably between the ages of 9 and 12.
yeah.
And
Old
it's
enough to fucking scar them. That's for sure. With their, I like how the one in the middle has multiple bras
yeah,
for the
over all the
assumed like number of tits going down it. Whatnot.
yes.
And
The one on the left looks very out of place, like he doesn't want to be there, or she.
yeah. Reminds me of the like the Django, like I can't fucking see kind of thing, you know. I'm sure,
Yes.
you know, we all appreciate everything she did and all, but next time.
They're probably going to, it's probably Halloween, and that's their outfits going out.
Hmm.
That kid's like, nah, please, mom,
Please,
let's
yeah,
can we
like,
not go out like this?
who's the wolf like for this?
He's in the other room, actually. He's waiting for them by the door.
Yeah.
I see this. I could feel like it'd be a slaughter film too, because there's a lot of pig films where they're going and just
Mhm.
slaughtering with like machetes or meat cleavers.
Yeah. You have like either they're the killers or you have like a guy who like he's traumatized by working at like the meat packing plant and whatnot. So before he kills somebody, he dresses them up like a pig and then slaughters them as they're wearing the
I
pig
see that.
costume.
You better run, pig.
Yeah.
What's that? Okay, there's another film that recently came out where like they bring all these people for dinner, but really they're hunting them. I can't think of it. It's also just recently came out. But they invite all these guests, or they bring these guests, but really they're not their guests. They're prey, and they send them out into the woods, and they have to like hunt them down.
Oh yeah.
You probably don't know what I'm talking about, do you?
I just feel like I saw it. I can't remember.
I watch a lot.
You know, there's a part that was in like what was that Ralph Fiennes movie where there was a food film where I swear there's a part in there where they did something similar where like you can run now and if you get caught you're dead. I can't fucking remember the title of that. I liked it too.
I don't know. They're the best. So the best one that's I've seen that where they have to like chase them is Battle Royale, which is an older like foreign film, and they like the teachers nominate the class, and then the class goes to the island with their braces, and they have to go, and they all have to kill each other.
Yeah,
I guess it's kind of what Hunger Games premise is too.
It's basically Hunger Games, yeah. But when Hunger Games came out, I started looking at Battle Royale. I think I saw. Is there 3 of them? I saw whatever was available.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know Battle Royale either, but that's because it's a foreign film. So,
yeah.
But do you like horror, foreign films, even if you have to read it?
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't bother me to read subtitles. I actually prefer reading the subtitles over hearing the dub because because whoever does the dub sometimes sounds really ridiculous in some of the dramatic moments. Like, I mean, very long time ago, I was maybe like 20 years ago, I was watching like a John Woo film. It wasn't The Killers, it wasn't Hard Boiled. It was like one of his other ones. And it was like listening to the dub, it almost ruined the movie because of how cheesy it sounded. But then if you just take the dub out and you just hear the actors' voices as it is and just read it, it's much better in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Train to Busan is fantastic. I don't know if you've seen Train to Busan. It's a zombie. There's 2 of them, and it's a Asian film, and it's a zombie apocalypse, but it's all on a train. And it's brutal and intense, but it's one of those where you have to read it. But it's man, I mean, I've seen it like 3 times because that's how good it is.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, Train to Busan. Okay,
I'm pretty sure it's on I don't know what is it, Hulu or Prime on one of them, but it's
okay.
I mean, it's good. It's good. That's all I can say.
Okay, yeah, check that out. I'll definitely check that out. Yeah, I think, and I finally put my foot down when it was Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon came out, and I saw it in theaters, which was subtitled, and I loved it. And then I saw it again when it came out, and I watched it dubbed, and I felt like some of the pieces weren't as emotional as it was when it was subtitled. So I just kind of went, "Now you got to do the subtitles."
You're right.
But then I have one of my friends, his mom is deaf, and so he watches everything in subtitles, and he's just used to it. And it's hard when it's subtitled and English, because sometimes the subtitle will give you the piece before the person actually said it.
Yes.
And because I understand both the English part as well, so that's when I don't like listening to the subtitles, is when it's, or not listening to subtitles, doesn't make sense, but like reading subtitles is when it's in the same language of when it's in English, because then it's the language I understand. But
yeah, because it almost gives it away.
Yeah, they kind of give it away before the person says it. Yeah. So,
are you a fan of the Bruce Campbell Evil Deads?
Oh yeah.
Did you see any of the newer ones?
I saw the newest Evil Dead movie that came out.
Were there in the apartment complex?
No, I didn't see that one. No, I started it though. It was just late. And
I actually think it's better than the first one. What I don't like about them is that like they kind of vaguely captured like the premise of the originals, but they're not the same at all, man. Bruce Campbell just made those films.
Yeah. No, I mean, I did like the first remake that they did. I thought it was done well, and I liked some of the callbacks to different moments, like chopping off her hand, and I liked how kind of brutal it was. And I thought it was done well, but obviously it was not done in the same kind of vein as the other ones. Like Sam Raimi just has an energy that he puts into that's in the movies, and even though the first Evil Dead is not funny in a sense, but it's just the way that the camera, like, just the way that he twists the camera and moves the camera and kind of things like that give it that kind of sense of energy. And then there's also Bruce Campbell. And then when you get to the second one, where it becomes a little bit more slapstick comedy, but it's still like horror.
I think Evil Dead 2 is my favorite of the trilogy.
Yeah.
But is that something that you like look at when you're watching movies, being that you're a film director and stuff? Are you like, the camera angles could have been better this way, or maybe they could have added this sound effect or something like? Is that what you look at when you're watching films?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's almost like I don't have a choice anymore. I used to be, when I first graduated, I probably was a pretentious asshole, and I wasn't trying to be, because we would go see movies that I look back now and I'm like, wow, I really like that movie. But when I first came out, like Kick-Ass, like I didn't like it. But it was because of certain of those reasons as well. I was like being too critical as I was watching things, because going through the film studies program, like I'd have 2 or 3 classes a day, and we have like an hour lecture before a movie. Then you watch a movie, then you have an hour lecture after. Very oftentimes they're an art house film or they're a foreign film, and then you kind of see a movie once, and then you have to later write like an essay on that movie, and you only have one time to see it. So this is before like Netflix wasn't. So I graduated in 2009.
Okay.
So a lot of these streaming platforms that we see weren't available. So
is that high school or is that college?
That would be college, yeah.
Okay.
Graduated college 2009. So so you'd have to go to the library to rent some of the movies, or Blockbuster. There's still Blockbusters out. And
what's a Blockbuster?
Yeah. And so sometimes I can't help but like look at a movie and then be going like, oh, that's a killer angle, or that's a killer shot, or that's a whichever. But I don't necessarily. The thing that bugs me more is when it's not as creative. Like if I'm watching watching a movie and maybe it's a dialogue scene, and I'm victim of what I'm about to say too, where it's like it's just reverse shot in the dialogue the whole time. It's kind of like, why is this not engaging? It's like, oh, because it's just basic reverse shot shit. Like that's why it's not engaging. It's not as intriguing as maybe 2 people in front of the camera and how they interact with that camera when they're kind of like, you could do a shot where I saw it in Star Trek one time. It was odd places, but like where the camera is like, it's a wide shot, 2 characters are way in the back talking, and then they kind of gradually work their way towards basically what then becomes a close-up, because they moved themselves close to the camera, but it's all in one shot. But it's basically a wide, medium, and close-up, but without changing camera angles. So stuff like that. My wife started Barry last night. the HBO show,
The series, yeah.
I'd watched it already and told her I loved it. And like those are ones that was certainly something where it's like you could tell which ones are directed by Bill Hader as they go, because his are the most like artsy of them, and I loved them. And he did a lot of like one take shot stuff, and so yeah, one cannot help but notice certain angles. But like influences from Evil Dead, in Frankencock, the main character is wearing like a blue shirt with black pants, and that's very much to be the Bruce Campbell character, like of that. Because then, there's a part where it's like that once the monster comes out, he's actually starts to swing punch at the monster, and the monster like dodging, right?
Yes,
that energy I was thinking of was is Evil Dead, and like that, and Army of Darkness, which is part of the Evil Dead series.
I definitely see that now that I'm looking back, because the way that the monster, the Frankencock, looks too is almost kind of that. It gets creepy, but it's almost comically creepy.
Yeah. And there's a part where the monster first comes out and goes like, "Wah!" And then the guy's like, "Ah!" And he's like, "Wah!" And the camera's just kind of like pushing in like that. That's very much like Army of Darkness, where you have there's two parts in Army of Darkness. The very end, when he comes back to the shopping mall place, and the demon comes out. If you really look at it, like for no particular reason in the background, like all the lights are flashing. It's like becomes kind of strobic and whatnot.
Okay.
And then also the camera, the way it kind of like pushes straight in on the person. And it also happens earlier in Army of Darkness, where like him and the medieval people are chatting about, I can't remember what they're chatting about. They're probably about how to get home and all that other stuff. And then like suddenly like a servant woman in the corner like she turns around and she's one of them and whatnot. And you have the same kind of thing where it's like flickering lights. So in Frankencock, there's a part they're fighting at the end in the garage, and there's like blinking lights in the back.
Yes.
There's no rhyme or reason why there's blinking lights, except for it worked in Army of Darkness. I went, you gotta have these blinking lights in the background, and it looks hectic. And so
it adds the effect to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks hectic, and then you blow a lot of wind. You use a leaf blower and blow it in people's faces to kind of get that hair to fly around and stuff like that. So,
and is most of the stuff most of the stuff you've done has been pretty budget friendly, right?
Oh yeah, budget conscious altogether. My feature film, Married and Loving It, is it's a husband and wife. They're the only two characters, and it's set entirely inside this one house, and that's all around the idea of the budget of being because if I have a bus explosion, I got a lot of problems now budget wise. Whereas if I set it inside the house, I can then the only thing that we need is just the props for the house and stuff like that. So and then keeping your cast level down, because you start getting into these like cityscape shots of like 50 people in the background, stuff like that. Like now you have all these additional people you got to pay for, day rates, stuff like that. So everything's scoped down. Like I said, kind of a micro budget level. We made our feature film for less than 10,000. So,
and how do you how do you get that? Do you have like the film company that like funds that?
No, not in the feature film. No, the film company was in my back pocket. So that's rough. Yeah, I've been knowing that someday I was going to make a feature film, so I just had been saving along the way. And so I just was saving birthday money and things money that I would get as gifts, and I was just saving it until I had a moment of okay, let's go. Well, then I had to have a script and other things like that. But so moving forward into the future, looking at other feature films, I certainly am not going to try to not do that and try to find funding elsewhere. Even crowdfunded or something like that, because it is kind of how do you do? I mean, the next step would be to do what Kevin Smith did, which is you get a bunch of credit cards and you start maxing them all out. But then you're in a whole nother world of problems. I mean, it worked out for him, but I'm not as talented as that guy. So
what's what separates a short film from a feature film?
It's length. It's so like most anything over, so in my opinion, anything over 70 minutes is feature. A lot of film festivals are like that. There are some film festivals that are considering anything over 40 minutes a feature film, but I really think like you gotta be like 70 minutes. So an hour and 10, hour and 20 minutes, you should be that'd be a feature film. So it's just length is
Okay.
all. But when I look at, so I go to a lot of independent festivals, and I see a lot of other people's work, and one thing that bothers me is when I see like a 40-minute long short film, and it's like, dude, you should just go the extra 20 minutes. Like, this story obviously is big enough that you want to go further. So just brainstorm out and just make it a feature. Why make 40 minutes and then stop there and call it a short?
Right.
Um,
And one thing that I've known, at least from making clips and stuff, the way like the audience retention, there's a lot where it's like if the first 3 seconds isn't capturing their attention, then it basically kicks you out the algorithm.
yeah.
And I've been trying to find a way to do these short things that we do and do like a full like hour and 20-minute film, but everybody
Mhm.
only send in like these 1 minute clips, like 3 or 4 of them, and get like 8 people to do it. And then just
Yeah.
have a bunch of these back and forth clips to make a full film. And I'm sure you could
Mhm.
do it. I'm just trying to figure out how to do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically the reason why we see like trailers that have bumpers now on them.
Yeah.
It's like the action scene before the rest of the action scene. It's because it's like, if we don't capture you in that first, like you said, that first 3 seconds. So the first 3 seconds are like, now it's like Chris Hemsworth trailer starts now, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
that's why I clicked on it so I could watch the trailer. But now I'm even more in because you showed me that cool shit right before we did it.
Mhm.
And but yeah, it's
Have you noticed any of that being like, do you get any bigger views on things based on how it starts out, or like the way that you present the thumbnail of it, or anything like that?
I think, the thumbnail for sure.
Yeah.
Putting something like that together, but it's hard because when I make the shorts, I wasn't making them for YouTube per se. I was
Mhm.
making them, or with like trying to capture the YouTube audience, and I was making them for a film festival. And so when you're in when it's that, people are butts are already in the seats, and they're already stuck sitting and watching it anyways. In fact, they're there to watch independent films,
Mhm.
so it's okay to have kind of a little bit of a leniency in how it starts, though.
Right.
But pacing is, I'm gonna kind of toot my own horn here. Most of our short films that my friends and I put together, I always feel like our pacing is right on point.
Mhm.
You could watch this because there's sometimes where we sit through a 7-minute short film and it feels like it was an hour long because it's just so not going anywhere, or it's so slow, and it's really grueling sometimes to sit through. And then you can sit through a short film. I feel like Frankencock is one where it's like 7 minutes and it goes by very quickly, and
Yes.
it's just about the pacing of things and what happens next.
Yeah, I think
But
the
like
big thing for me is like those like, like with podcasting, it's like that dead air or the silence. But like in films, if a scene drags out and it's not like, you're not really, you're getting a 2 second point across in like 4 minutes,
mhm.
that kind of takes the audience away from the film.
Yeah, and it's not to say that you have to have that. It's not to say you can't sit in a moment for a second. Like, think of like the very last shot of like Godfather Part Two. It's just Michael Corleone and like sitting there, um, reflecting kind of like what just happened now, where his brother's dead and other stuff. And it's a long shot, but it's okay because it fits the mood of what we're doing. But there are a lot of short films that I see through festivals that sometimes the mood is just off somehow
Mhm.
enough to it's really cumbersome to sit through sometimes. But
Mhm.
and that's kind of coming back to like your question about shots. I'm probably more critical of independent shorts than I am of big features, like big budget movies, I guess. But it's probably because sometimes it's like there's a lot of times I'll see somebody will put a camera. They're trying to, like, two people are sitting in a park. They'll put the camera behind a bunch of sticks or something like that. Like they're on the other side of a tree, and I think they're trying to be artsy because like now there's something in the foreground, there's stuff in the background. But what
Mhm.
it comes off to me is like it gives me the impression that there's someone watching them, and which is typically how that works. If you show two people, if you're looking at two people and you're showing through a window, you're oftentimes saying that someone in the house is watching them or
Right.
whichever. And then when that doesn't come out, I'm going like, well, then we didn't know what you're doing. Well, you weren't motivated with the shot. You just did it because you thought it looked cool
Mhm.
going through the sticks or the branches or whatever. And it did, but
Yeah.
without motivation for what it was trying to convey.
Well, it gave off a different vibe than what they were actually trying to
Yeah.
portray. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's big, and I think and I didn't go to school for any of what I do, and that's fine. I don't really consider myself a film director either. I'd like to be eventually, but
Yeah.
have you met film directors that are really good that never went to school for it?
That are good.
I'm sure that's hard. Yeah, it's few and far between.
I don't know everybody's background. I've met quite a few people, and whose films I really enjoyed, and I don't know. I didn't take a second to ask them if they went to film school. I just know I enjoyed their film.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's there's a lot of times I'll see people. I'm not saying that anybody has to go to film school. I'm just saying that like when I was younger, that's what I wanted to do. And at the time in Utah, there was none of the colleges offered film.
Right.
They do now, and so you had to go out of state for it. And I wanted a film degree, and that was what I wanted. So, but but then some people say, well, Tarantino didn't go to film school. And it's like, yeah, but Tarantino did a lot. He did a lot of movie watching and review reading, and like if you read his book, Cinematic Expressions, there's a lot. That guy wasn't just sitting around. I mean, he's been studying film for a very long time, and also he's Quentin Tarantino. So like, you got to be that talented, kind of thing.
It's not really something you can compare like just some regular old Joe to.
Yeah. But I think, but I don't think is it necessary? No, not necessarily, because there's a lot of technology around movie making as well. And the version of film school that I went to was more focused on film studies. So it was like looking at things artistically and the aesthetics. And that did not give me the technical knowledge of film. And I oftentimes find I'll see a movie where it looks great, but the story or the presentation just sucked. And then there's other times where I see a movie that looks like it was shot on a potato, which is like, and yeah, I'm going like, wow, that was really good. Like in so many ways, like Clerks is kind of like that. Like Clerks is not aesthetically pleasing, but it's written really well, and the characters are great, and so that's what kind of hooks you overall. But it's not necessarily a well shot film by any means,
Right.
And Chris Nolan's his first film, Following, it's grainy, black and white, handheld a lot of times, but I mean the way he constructs the story and the editing and the pacing, just it rocks. So
what's that Gene Wilder black and white film where he's Frankenstein, or he's
Young Frankenstein?
Frankenstein. That was a phenomenal film.
Yeah. In fact, if one of my poster images for Frankencock is I'm basically mirroring the Young Frankenstein poster as well. Like in the Young Frankenstein poster, you have the castle in the center, and like Gene Wilder on one side, like and then the monster. And so I did a poster for Frankencock that's the cock in the center, with the actor Dennis on the other side going like that, and that's what I was trying to do.
That's funny.
Mimic that poster.
Funny. Speaking of Frankencock, as we're wrapping this up, man, you've won a couple awards already, haven't you?
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, we've done pretty well. This is probably my most well received short film, and it's kind of odd because I've done many different genres of movies. Like Married and Loving is very much a drama comedy, but mostly drama. And I was trying to maybe be like artsy and serious or whatever, and then move on to do like this movie where there's a giant dick in the movie, and yet it's the one that has earned like best director, best film, best editing, best actor. And we've been kind of traveling around for a while, not for a while, but for the last, so we put out the movie in October, and then since then, so the first festival we went to, that Demon Chaser one in Salt Lake, I mean, we smoked up five of the awards. Special effects, I knew we were going to get, because we had a hell of a monster that was put together. And then, but we ended up getting like the audience award and best director and best scare. And I mean, I was blown away. I was not expecting to win. Like, there's only 11 awards and we took 5 of them. I was pretty honored. And then there's another festival where we won best editing, and it just happens to be that I was the editor for that short. I don't always edit the stuff, but I do. And I was like, oh wow, I turned my wife, I've been doing this for like 20 something years, editing, since I was in high school, and I finally won an award for it. So
I feel amazing too.
Yeah, so we've been doing pretty good. And then even this morning, checking my email, we just played at a film festival in Calgary, and the Film Freeway website I was telling you about, like, I got an email from them saying that the Calgary Film Festival, they've updated our status as award winner. Now, I don't know what we won because I haven't gotten the message from that festival, but they've at least gone in and clicked that award winner. So even today we win something, and
that's good, man.
It's been a blast. So I'm working right now on a feature film script. So I have about 80 pages, and it's going to be a blend of, well, right now it's basically Wolfman versus Frankencock. Is what it's going to be. It's going to be the Moons of Blood character versus the Frankencock character. And my hope is that off of the accolades that we're winning today for the short film and what we won for Moon's Blood when we did that short film, that from that strength we can maybe entice somebody to give us some money to go make a killer like werewolf versus Frankencock film. So
heck yeah, man. When you say entice somebody to, so can you, like, do you just present the script and then like maybe a studio or something production will pick it up?
I mean, I don't think that production is going to be Warner Brothers, but like, no, I think maybe like if we were to do a crowdfund or something like that, like where we're trying to get the community to maybe give us the money, or again, a lot of the short films we've kind of just paid out of our own back pocket. So it's certainly something I haven't explored yet. I have not done a crowdfunded film yet, but I've been around people who have, and so I've heard their tips and tricks and things like that of successful crowdfunding. But
that's exciting, man. So you got a lot of these awards for Frankencock you didn't even like expect to happen.
No, actually, no, I wasn't. No. Well, in a sense, I was frustrated by, I made the Wolfman movie and then went and we didn't win in the way I thought we were going to win for a festival. And I was kind of frustrated. When that festival invited me back to make another film, I was like, well, fine, I'll do this. How about this? Because there was kind of like in the werewolf one, the werewolf pops out, and as soon as he shows up, he kind of starts immediately raping the girl that he was standing next to, which I thought was really funny. But sometimes, people are sensitive in this day and age, right? But I still subscribe to the idea. George Carlin said that rape could be funny, and George Carlin was my idol. So I'm like, rape can be funny. So the second time around, I'm like, well, fine. If you don't like the part where he gets raped, what if just a big dick comes out and we'll go from there? We'll do the Frankencock idea. So kind of just did it out of like, now fuck them. Like let's just have it come out, because it was also supposed to be in 3D. Originally, it was shot with the intent of being in 3D for a minute, and so it was like, I was like, yeah, I want it to go like this, and come straight at the screen and stuff like that. I was like, fuck them, and then it won, and ended up being like, apparently as soon as you take off all the sensors, it just
right,
then then it finds its home. And so
it's funny that you go ahead. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, you go.
It's funny that you mentioned like how like randomly it's just doing so well, but like I'm currently going viral on Instagram, and it's this 1 6-second clip of an elephant sitting down. You might have even seen it, and he's got his big dick just kind of hanging out, and he's like waving at the crowd. And it's 3 seconds of that, but he's wearing like this red collar. So I got that 3-second clip, and then it pans to me, and I'm like, man, I've never seen an elephant with a red collar or with a collar. Yeah. And it's currently almost at 1.6 million views, and I'm like, why? Like, there's literally nothing to it. But yeah, I mean, and the commentary is absurd. I mean, everybody's like referencing Drake because that whole recent deal with Drake, and then it's just stupid, man. It's crazy. Like sometimes you plan something to do well, and then it doesn't, and then the stuff that you're doing just on a whim does fantastic.
Yeah, and I've wondered that. I guess with artists or like even songs, like it'd be nice to chat with somebody like an Aerosmith or somebody and be like, did you know you were killing it when you were writing that? Like, did you know that was going to be the hit, or was it the surprise piece? That was like, well, this is the song that we really loved and nobody liked it, and this is a song that we kind of thought was okay, but everybody loves it in that sense, like you just said.
I've actually, like I've told you, I've had a lot of comedians on here, and a lot of them tell me that some of the best jokes that they get like reaction on are some that they think are not that great of jokes.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, hey man, I really appreciate you coming on today, and I hope you really enjoyed it, because I've been
man. Yeah, it's been a blast. Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry. No, yeah, thank you for having me, man. Yeah, very much so. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of
very
course.
much.
And like I said, I'm trying to get more into the short films. Obviously,
Yeah.
you invested a lot more into it, but yeah, I just appreciate, like, I've just sent you some stuff and you give me a
Mhm.
little bit of reaction to it, so I appreciate you on that too.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere people can go to find all your stuff?
Yeah, if you go to so our YouTube channel is New Ogden Cinema, and that's where you'll find an assortment of films. Some of them I directed, some of them I didn't, some of them I just act in. But it's
Mhm,
basically the group collectively putting together short films.
mhm,
My feature film, Married and Loving It, is on Amazon Prime,
mhm,
available for rent. And then right now, Frankencock is not available online because it's going through the festival circuit. So
mhm.
it's if you want to see it, if you're in Long Beach, it'll be playing there at the Long Beach Convention. I don't know the name of the festival, but it's in around July. You can hit me up. But I'm also on Instagram under Ryan.McDonald.filmmaker,
Mhm.
and you'll know you're on the right profile because there'll be a bunch of like pictures of a fabricated wiener for the last like 8 months. So that's pretty much how you know it's me. So
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, I recommend seeing it. I mean, it's funny. If you guys don't care about, gore and a massive cock,
yeah,
just go see it. If you have that kind of humor, go see it. All right, man. Hey, you have a hell of a day. I'll
yeah,
send
you
you
as well,
links to
bud.
all this stuff when it's done, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Cool.
All
Appreciate it,
right.
man. Thank you
Yeah,
very
you're
much. It was
welcome.
a blast.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. And to tell
Yeah.
everybody else listening and watching, we'll see you next time.